UFC super middleweight champion, a man who was known for his toughness and roughness. Joe had 65 fights, finishing with a record of 35, 22 and 8. Welcome to the show, Joe Vella.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, mate.
Mate, thanks for coming on. How did Joe Vella get started in boxing?
We arrived in Australia, I think, one day before Lionel Rose fought Gillari, the day after, sorry.
Yeah.
And all I could see in the newspapers was Lionel Rose and Gillari. It was a big fight. And also because my brother Paul was an amateur boxer in Queensland, he used to send us the cuttings and the newspapers and that, And I think he was a North Queensland champion. Anyway, and from there I sort of started to work, and I asked somebody, where do I go for boxing training? And some people sent me to Bankstown Police Boys Club, and because I lived in Auburn,
That's where I was, mate. That's where I trained there too.
Oh, really? Yeah, we lived very close to Barella.
Okay.
And some people sent me to Parramatta Police Boys Club, but I decided to go to Bankstown. I was there for about 6 months anyway, yeah.
Who was a trainer there, mate, at the time?
Freddie Breathitt.
Yeah, that's who trained me. What a small world, eh? Golly.
Really?
Yeah, mate, I've learned something today. Well, yeah. he trained me, mate. He was there for 28 years. You couldn't put a number on how many kids Freddie trained in this Bankstown area.
I know. But he couldn't get me a fight for some reason.
No one wanted to fight you, mate. Probably you were too good.
No. He kept saying to me, you're a bit too short. I said, what do you mean I'm too short? I'm 5'7.5". How tall do I have to be? Anyway, and then after 6 months, I read in the paper that McQuillan trained 38 Australian champions or something. So I went straight down there, and McQuillan said, he hung the bag. How many fights have you had, son? I said, nothing. I said, but I trained for 6 months under Freddie Breathitt. He said, see that guy there in the ring? I said, yeah. He said, can you spar him? I said, yeah, I'll spar him. It was Jerry O'Rourke,
Okay.
And I think he was about 29, I was 17. And I sparred him, I went very good. And then he said to me, you went well, you're going to fight him next Wednesday week. It was about 9 days before. I said, okay, and I ended up fighting him 5 times, because I had no amateur fights.
Oh, you didn't? I was going to ask you that. Tell us about your amateur career. So straight into the pros for you.
Yes. I never fought amateur, and neither did Alex, my brother. Well, I think he had one, Alex. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you turned pro. You turned pro in February 1969, and as you said, your first 5 fights were against Jerry O'Rourke. Jerry O'Rourke. You won 4 and drew 1.
Yeah.
That you just explained that just come about because Bernie lined you up with him, didn't he?
No, Ernie McQuillan. I started with him. I had 37 fights. I had 23 fights in 69.
Yeah.
Then I think I had 14 in 1970. Then I went to Maryland. I went to work up there in Queensland in the mines.
Well, that's a lot of fights. 23 fights you had in your first year as a pro. That's amazing.
Nearly won a fortnight. I know. I remember they said it was the busiest fight in Australia in the year.
You sure were. Okay, 1972, you stepped up and fought future Commonwealth Game champion Sharky Raymond. You were stopped in the second round. Yeah. The only fight in your career that you were stopped. What's your recollections of the fight?
Yeah, there's a story about that, but I'm not going to say it. Anyway,
moving along.
Sharky was a great fight.
Yeah.
It was a great. And the next fight, I think he won the Commonwealth title. From memory, I think next fight he won the call. He'd won the Australian title from Paul Lovey, the fight before me, I think. Yeah, but the one after, I think he won the Commonwealth title. And I think he would have won a world title if they didn't break up, but things happen, mate,
Yeah.
Things happen, yeah.
Okay, on the 24th of February 1976, you fought Rod Big Red Christian at South Juniors.
Oh, geez.
This fight was a draw over 10 rounds. Referee Ray Mitchell said about this fight, this is the roughest fight he had ever seen. If he took a point off both boxes for every infringement, which included biting, butting, and kneeing, golly, they both would be left with minuses. Please tell us about that fight. You are mad, Joe.
What was that?
I said, you are mad, mate.
Well, I'll tell you what. This guy tried to upset me.
Yeah. Didn't work.
When Ray Mitchell was giving us the instructions, he kept moving his lips and saying wog, wog. I knew he was saying that.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but he wasn't saying it loud. He was, I could sort of hear. And as soon as the bell rang on out there, I had button straight away.
Did ya? Yeah.
Straight away, back.
I wish I was
And
there.
then Ray Mitchell said, "Oh, this one for you, Anyway, he went back, and the next thing was a low blow from him, I think, and then he tried to strangle me against the ropes, and the seventh round, I got so cranky. Oh, that's right. He put me down the third round. That's right. But that wasn't the case. What was cranky? I said to Bernie Hall, "Don't give me the medicine because I can't breathe." He said, "Joe, don't do anything stupid." I said, no, Ben. I know what I had in my mind. As soon as he bent down here, because he's very tall, 6'2", he bent down and he leaned down, and I beat him, on the shoulder, and he was screaming like hell. He beat me. And Ray said, "What are you biting for?" I said, "I never beat him." He said, "There's only three of us in here, and I didn't do it."
Cheers.
But it was, I reckon if there was a rematch somewhere in the stadium, it would have probably backed it, because all these people. But anyway, that's yeah.
What a fight. Okay, moving along. On the 13th of July, 1976, you won the Australian Super Middleweight title with a 10-round decision over Al Kuravov. Please tell us about that fight and the feeling of winning an Aussie title.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the story, but the fight before that, I fought his brother, which is Sinati Kikwata.
Okay.
And I was training at Bernie Halls, and Bernie said, "You go." I said, "Well, don't you want to come with me?" He said, No. And when I went there, Ernie started attacking Bernie, and I said, "Ernie, I didn't come here to hear the stories. Oh, about his mother and everything, And I said, "Look, we're going to get weighed, and we're going to fight tonight, okay?" And I said, "Look, you've been successful. Why are you taking Bernie for?" I said, "You've been successful." He said, "Because he pinched my fight." I said, Nah. I said, "You didn't pinch me." I said, "I went because I was Ernie's boy, I said, "I went there because he gave me main events." I said, "You never gave me." I said, "You gave me early, but when I came from Illinois, you never gave me any." Anyway, so then I said to him, I said, "Why don't you meet your boys?" And you wouldn't believe it. 3 months later, or 2 months later, Corvo was his boxer, and I was Bernie, and we met. You wouldn't believe it. Yeah.
Jeez, eh?
But that was for the super middleweight of Australia,
Yeah, 1976, that would have been a great feeling winning that, mate.
Yes, it was very good, and I won on points. And I never read in any book that a round was won 10-6, but the last round, I won the round 10 points to 6. You believe that?
That's unbelievable. That's a stoppage, that, right there.
Yeah, it's printed in the Fighter magazine.
Is it really?
10-7 I've seen, and 10-8, but I've never seen 10-6 before.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, you become the first ever Australian super middleweight champion. See, looking back at that historical significance of the fight, you were the first Aussie super middleweight champ. What a great achievement. That's something to tell your kids and grandkids, mate, about that.
I was very, very fit. Very fit.
Yeah. How fit are you these days, mate?
Oh, I go walking 3 kilometers every second day, I play snooker by myself here at home, but... Yeah, but there's a bit of a story when I came from Illinois. There was a guy named Norm Sharp, and he was a Victorian boxer. And I said, "Look, I don't know why every time I go to Sydney, I end up winning the last fight." He said, "Because your timing is out." He said, "When are you going down?" I said, 3 months. He said, "All right, we'll train twice a day." He said, "I'll meet you at the gym at 6 in the morning." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, 6 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, or 5, whatever." And Mike, he got me so fit. When I come down here, Bernie Hall, he said to me, before I fought Billy Joe, he said, "My God, you're so fit." I said, "I was running up the mountains, Bernie, from Mount Isa, up the hills. then the race course, wherever. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that was a good fight too. Yeah.
Okay, so in your next fight, you won the New South Wales light heavyweight title with a 10-round points win over Al Gatling. What's your memories of that fight?
Yes, mate. I came in at 12-2, I think, and I think he was 12-7 or something. But he was a southpaw, and Bernie was a great trainer. He got me to throw right hands to the body, because he was a southpaw, of course.
Yeah.
Right hand and left hooks. And I think I had Gatling down in the first and second round. But anyway, I won a points fairly easy,
Yeah.
The referee was Del Conway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Del Conway, yeah.
Okay, in 77 in May, you lost your Australian super middleweight title to Al Kurov on points. What happened there, mate?
Mate, I'll tell you what, if you speak to 1,000 people, or 900 of them will tell you that I won that fight.
Yeah.
I did, And I asked Kurov himself one night, because we're good friends,
Yeah.
I was taking him to a barbecue there at the Rebels. And I said, I'm going to ask you a question. He said, I know what you're going to ask me. I said, what do you mean, I said, that fight at Maryville, the 15 round, who do you think won that one? He said, you. I said, come on. No, come on. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. I said, thank you. Yeah. He was very honest. I still ring him sometimes. He lives in Fiji now.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, he's 74, I think, yeah.
Okay, your next 4 fights you were in Malta. Please tell us about that, how that come about.
Well, after what happened to me in the 15th round, I got a bit upset and I started driving taxi. I didn't train for a month. And then my cousin said, you want to come with me? I said, Charlie, I said, I was thinking of going to America. He said, come with me. I said, there's no fight there. But I was very lucky, not lucky because the guy died in 74, but the person, Charlie Kutaya, I think, he was a heavyweight. He died in the ring, and the government stopped boxing for 3.5 years. Would you believe it?
Yeah. Jeez.
So when I went there in 77, everybody wanted to see boxing.
Yeah.
And the crowds would, they might go, we had crowds of 4,000, 4.5,
Wow.
Yes, and the ticket was £2 for them days, $8 Australian.
Yeah.
Every pound was, that first fight was at the stadium, and the other two against Cardona. Got ripped off in that one too. What can you do? I got ripped off 4 times in my whole career. 4 times.
Mate, I haven't heard a fighter. I haven't heard a fighter say any different, mate.
Gee, I tell you, I don't know why they do it. I mean, this guy, I challenged him 3 times later, or more than that, and he wouldn't accept the challenge.
Because he knows you're probably too good for him.
Sort of a fighter, eh?
He probably knew you were too good for him, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, we made a mistake because when we went up for the fight before Philip Schwerer, there was an English referee. We should have got his phone number and brought him back, you know what I mean, from England. But see, the guy that robbed me, he had a bit of a grudge against me because I told him that the commissioner, boxing, the police commissioner, told me not to use Jim Sawyer because of what happened when that guy died, And he said to me, I'll get square with you one day. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. But there was nobody else to put, we had to put him, you know what I mean?
Okay, in moving along, in February 1979, you had a fight at Mount Pritchard Community Club in Sydney. Who hasn't fought there? And you lost a 10-round decision to Sam Nagata. Many thought this was... Yeah, many thought this was your final fight, but 10 years later, you made a comeback in Malta. Why did you make the comeback?
I don't know. Look, why I didn't keep fighting was I bought my taxi in December 1980. So I didn't have a night driver, so I couldn't go training. And for 2.5 years, I was working like 7 in the morning till 9 at night, or 10 maybe. And so then when I paid it off, I said, right, I'll get a what's your name? I'll get a night driver, start training again. But the law in New South Wales was you can't fight over 35. Remember that?
Yeah. Now Yeah,
now it's not like that. But I think in 1982, 83 it was,
36
So
or
I didn't
35.
bother. But then I was,
But
then I decided to go to Malta.
This is getting interesting now, because in July 1989 you won the Maltese Super Middleweight Championship with a 10-round decision over Vince Longalis. What's your memories of that fight? You must have been good, Joe, I tell you. You must have been pretty good, mate. You keep winning these super middleweight titles.
Well, I was 38, and he was 25. But I think the guy only had about 13 or 14 fights.
Okay.
And everybody in Malta was saying to me, "You're mad, you're fighting him." I said, "Why?" He said, "Oh, he's a hard puncher." He shook me in the first round. Yeah. He shook me. But, I came out in the second round, and I hit him about 12 punches in the body, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe it. After that, he sort of slowed coming into me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was jabbing him and everything, But he tried to play a game in the 8th round.
Mm-hmm.
He said that I hit him low. And the referee said to me, "I'm going to give him 2 minutes rest." I said, "Listen, it's bullshit." I said, "Look, it's bullshit. I never hit him low. I've got, Anyway, but what happened, I think they were scared because the people from my village, from my wife's village, they're crazy. And they all came with me, and they were surrounding the ring, I think they got a bit scared, and they're going to disqualify me. And anyway, we kept going, and I won the fight, 99 to 93, yeah.
Wow, geez, eh? Okay, your career's coming to an end, or is it? On the 25th of August, 1989, you had another win in Malta over Peter Poscat. You were out of action for 6 years, but came back in July 95. Wow, and challenged for the Maltese light heavyweight. No?
No, Poisco was in 89 after Bongaila.
Okay.
I was in America. I went there to see my brother. And I went training at the Kronk Gymnasium.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. You trained at the Kronk Gymnasium in the 80s, eh?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And the guy named Saunders, his surname was Saunders, big guy, heavyweight guy. He was the trainer replacement for Stewart, because Stewart was away with Tommy Hearns for the second fight with Sugar Raymond. Yeah. Anyway, and he said to me, "You want me to get you a fight?" I said, "No, Mike, I'm 38. I said, I'm going to Malta on holiday, so I might fight over there." He said, "You see the guy over there on the bag? I'll meet you with him." I said, "Look, I've got no time. I'm leaving on Wednesday,
Yeah.
And I said, "Look, I'll get his details when I bring him to Malta." And we did bring him to Malta, and I fought him 10 rounds. I beat him on points, yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was it. You finally given
Now, the last fight I went 6 years later.
6 years later?
Giuseppe Tali, Italian guy.
Yeah.
He was an Italian, but he lived in Malta, and we fought for the Maltese light heavyweight.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What a comeback for that last fight 6 years later.
I don't know. I don't know. I was
typical boxer's answer.
I was 44.
Yeah. God.
I was going to train at Canleyvale. There's a gym there. It's not there anymore now. And I was still pretty fit, but not as fit as I was in 89,
Yeah.
But anyway.
Getting old's a bugger, isn't it, mate?
Hey?
Getting old's a bugger, isn't it, buddy?
Yes. Oh, no, I fought even the 10s too with have you ever heard of Les McNabb?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, well, one day he came to McQuillan's Gymnasium.
Yeah.
And a couple of my brothers fought there too, Benny and Fred. And this Les McNabb was pointing to me from the window from McQuillan's Gym. And I said to Billy, "What was he pointing the finger for?" He said, "He wants you to go with him." I said, "Where?" He said, "In the tent." I said, "What's that?" "I don't know. I've only been in Australia for 2 years. I've heard you." He said, "In the Easter show." I said, "Oh." So Les came down. He said, "You want to come? We got 6 weeks, like Westmead, Blacktown, Kellyville, Manly, whatever." I said, "Okay." And and I fought Kevin Mundine there too. Kevin Mundine.
Yeah.
He beat me and I beat him back, and then we fought in the ring and I won that one. But yeah, I met a lot of good friends in my career, mate.
You sure did.
Like Ray Wheatley, very good friend of mine, Johnny Lewis, poor Seddy McCready, God bless him. He was a great friend of mine, But, we had a young brother. He was a very good fighter. Gino, he was a heavyweight.
Yeah.
And one day he went to Peter Fuller's and Peter Fuller said, "You want to spar that guy?" But Gino didn't know who it was. It was Rocky St. Clair. Remember him?
Yeah, I do, yeah. He's a promoter.
And actually Gino beat him the whole 4 rounds.
Yeah, geez.
And he never had a fight. Never. But Gino went to Bernie Hall and Bernie said, good, I'll take you to New Mayor. And I said, Gino, don't go to New Mayor. You're a novice. Have a couple of 6 rounds in Australia first. Bernie was taken to New Mayor and Fiji straight away like that.
Yeah, jeez.
I wish the Fry Weekly's gym, I knew about it at that time because I would have sent him up there,
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay, looking back at your career, who would you rate as your toughest opponent?
Oh, there's no doubt. The 15-rounder at Merrickville with Albert Coraville.
Yeah.
That was the toughest one.
What about Greg McNamara? He was a tough one.
McNamara, he was a tough boy, yes. He was, you wouldn't believe it. When Bernie was training me for that fight,
Which one, for Greg McNamara?
Yeah. Bernie got in the ring with the headgear, and he was headbutting me. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You on drugs or something?" He said, No, I'm not on drugs, Joe. He said, "This is what he's going to do to you." And he was using his elbow and everything else, And I said, "Come on, Bernie." He said, "Joe, this is the way." And exactly what Bernie did in the gym, McNamara did the same thing.
Jeez.
He was a rough fighter. But, anyway, he beat me the first time by a point, and I beat him the second time.
You'd have to have that big red Christian up there too, wouldn't you, mate, with the headbutting exhibition you put on. That would have been one of the toughest.
I seen him in Queensland, because...
Did you both run away from each other or shake hands?
Well, he looked at me and he sort of nodded. But I went up there for that fight Dave Edwards about 3 weeks after, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Peter Fuller said, "You want to go to Brisbane?" I said, "What?" He said, "8 rounds." I said, "Okay." I went straight away. I won him points. But I seen him there. He didn't come shake my hands, but he went past me,
Okay, Joe, what have you been doing since your retirement from boxing? What have you been up to?
Well, mate, I drove taxis for 40 years, but I gave it away last July because this coronavirus, there was no money, and I was scared I'm going to get the disease, because people, you try to tell them to sit in the back, but some of them don't want to sit in the back. So, you know what I mean? It was very dangerous, and I thought, I better get out before we get it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, when you give away boxing, mate, can you look back with a smile, mate? You happy to give it away at the time?
Yeah, look,
I'm good on you, mate.
I boxed 414 rounds,
Yeah.
It's a lot of rounds, so...
And your brother Alex, we're going to try and get him on, aren't we?
Yes,
in the next couple of weeks. How's he going over there in Malta, buddy?
Good. Alex was number 5 in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what, he was a good fighter.
I know. I'm hoping to get him on for an interview in the next couple of weeks. You got to tee it up for me, mate. And thanks to Kim Wells.
Yeah. And Benny was a good fighter too. He fought in Malta.
Yeah. What's he doing now, Benny?
Benny was a truck driver, and I think he's retired like me. He's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
Freddie had one fight against Jerry O'Rourke in the 10th.
Yeah.
But he hurt his hand. He nearly broke it. And you wouldn't believe it, he wouldn't punch back for 4.5 years.
Yeah, jeez.
His sore hand,
Yeah. Mate, we'll cut it there, Joe Vella. Thank you so much for coming on Boxing Chat this morning, mate. It was a very interesting interview, mate. I love the fight at the South Sydney Juniors with Red Christian. Is that on YouTube, mate? I'd love to watch it.
I'll tell you what, yes,
I'm going to look that up.
They never used to let you take the fight, didn't they? So why is that?
I don't know. But we'll sign off, Joe. I'll give you a buzz later. But what's your song you want me to play as we sign off, mate?
I love that one Roy Orbison song, Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman. We'll play that as we sign off.
I'll play that for my wife.
No worries. worries, mate. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you.
See you later, Joe Vella. It's been interesting talking to you, mate.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you very much.
And we'll go to a break and we'll be back very shortly and wrap up the show.